Hi YouTube, Darth here. This is Over Your Shoulder, a series where I follow unsuspecting players and give unsolicited commentary. Today's victim is Dragonfyre, a level 117 with some good stats who also put up some good numbers in the previous round. But let's see how he fares on Conquest Golmud Railway. And we're tanking too. Alright, let's see what we got on Dragonfyre. We got ourselves a Sabo shell, great for this match. Coaxial HMG, it's personal preference I think. Maintenance, active protection, and zoom optics. Not bad choices all around. Whenever you have a map that's as big, wide, and open as Golmud, you'll want to run with the Sabo on your tank, even if you call it the Sabo. Looks like we are making our way towards Alpha Bravo. Definitely my favorite points on this map if you saw my battle plan regarding Golmud. As I point out in that battle plan, Alpha Bravo Charlie are hard to take back from the team that controls them. One of the things you can expect when you're at Alpha and Bravo is to be confronted by any other enemy armor that's doing the exact same thing here. So I usually like to play this corner a little bit slowly and see if something's happening at Alpha. And it looks like the friendly team is taking Alpha currently, so not so much to worry about, but keep on your guard regardless. And since I'm in third person, we can see that there are 3 tanks making our way here, but he probably doesn't know that yet. No, he does. They're actually spotted. So you know that there are 3 tanks. You have to play super careful and wait for them to appear. And there's one now. There's the other. Oh, this was really bad. You need to get out of here. You do not want to be the target of 3 tank barrels. There's no way to win that. This is an example of where an over-aggressive play gets you in real trouble real fast. It's time to back up, because if you get disabled, yep, those other 2 are just going to start pummeling you, and it is game over. If you had instead waited for the tanks to come up through A and B, you could have caught them one at a time. Facing them all at once had a very predictable outcome. The Dragonfyre has returned today, and a very good job spotting enemies. Looks like we had a tank here. Do we have C4? Yes, we do. Being patient and waiting for that tank to show itself. You want to be patient when you're trying to C4 a tank. It's kind of like knifing somebody. If you show yourself early, you're probably just going to get done in. But it looks like that tank has wisely decided to not try and face the entire red team. And otherwise, it looks like we have an AWS, HD33, an R2 suppressor, and a potato grip. Pretty typical setup for the AWS. Although I think myself, I probably would prefer an RDS on the AWS simply because I do a lot of close range fighting. And that's a free kill like manna from heaven. So here's a quick tip about parachuting. Open your chute at the last possible moment and make sure not to do it in the middle of the enemy team. Alright, now Alpha and Bravo are pretty firmly secure in this team's hands. It looks like Charlie and Delta are also secure. This map is probably going to go in Red's favor pretty quickly here. And as you can see, there's already about a 100-point difference. So one of the things about this map is you're going to do an awful lot of running if you don't have ground transportation at your side. If you can, try to find a car rather than running to try and get around. Let's look at the tabletop situation. It looks like Blue is pretty firmly in command of that southern point, and we're going airborne. At this point, I'd be looking to mop up some of those kills down at Foxtrot. Let's see what we got in here. We got Heat Seekers, 25 mils, Belt Feeder, ECM Jammer. Decent setup. Just passed by that Blue attack helicopter. See, this is the problem when you laser focus on a target, you miss the bigger picture. Especially when you're in an aircraft like this, you need to know what your big threats are. Seems like you should be able to have killed that. Definitely getting too low here, and you can see that his aim is wiggling all over the place. So he could definitely stand to be a little bit more cautious in the helicopter and get a little bit more practice in. You're going to start taking fire from the AA and their base and every other armored vehicle that doesn't like you here. It's probably time to start thinking about getting out of here. On this map, I usually like to play a little bit more cautious with the scout helicopters, simply because there is so much over in their spawn point. You have to worry about the base A, the MA, all the tanks, all the gunners on the tanks, and you're going to crash into that and dip over. Oh, you made it. Nice. Remember how I talked about that bigger picture stuff? As a scout helicopter or any low-flying aircraft, you're going to want to make sure that you're not about to fly into something. I like to go into third person pretty often, and since I play normal mode. If I'm not actively shooting something, I'm usually flying around in third person. The third person camera is one of those nice perks of playing normal. You obviously don't get it in hardcore, so in that case you simply have to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings. But if you are on normal, I highly recommend making good use of the third person camera. That is an exceptionally bold driver there, and he's about to get pounced by a C4. Oh, he got out. Or he died. No, he did get out. Oh my, look at all that. Not a good shot with the 25 mils. That should have been 3 free kills. With a little bit of extra piloting skill, what you could do is drop down here and try to get a level shot with all those guys. Obviously not in front of that tank, though. Yeah, with this much infantry around, I think I'd reserve those 25 mils for the infantry that's running around in the bottom here. In the scout helicopter, I'm not really a big fan of using 25mm on heavy armor. I'm currently using the miniguns on my own setup because I want to get a little bit better with them. They're exceptionally good against other scout helicopters, which makes it something you want to invest in if you're having problems in the air. And if you can be a decent enough shot with... How are you not killing this guy? If you can be a decent enough shot with the miniguns, they're actually really quite good against infantry as well. There we go. Now we're starting to get some kills with this thing. Obviously, you want to stay away from the miniguns if you have a really hard time getting any shots in. It's like we're getting locked down here. Oh, that is right there. That is why you never, ever let armor just sit around in your own base. And why, if you're an enemy, it's your job to take it from the team that left it there for you. Because now you're a much harder target to kill for this team, and they have to expend almost a squad's worth of vehicles to try and get you. What was just a simple guy is now an enemy armored piece and can spawn an entire squad on him. Although with as much attention as he's drawn, he's probably not going to live long and does not. But as a general rule, if you spawn at a point and you see armor there that is your team's, you'd better take it. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and that somebody else will most likely be an enemy. There, not a bad idea. Generally, I like to tap the reload button whenever I'm not actively engaged in a target because that makes sure that I have ammo left for the next one. Looks like we have the transport helicopter. I know you have the heat seeker, so you probably should be switching to them right now rather than blowing your 25 mils on this thing first. 25 millimeter is not really that great against aircraft and vehicles. It takes a while. If you have missiles, you might as well knock them out of the sky first. And this is dangerous play here because you're getting close to their base AA, and you know that that MAA is somewhere on this map. That would have been a much better pick earlier, especially because when you disable a transport helicopter like that, you usually have a bunch of infantry pop out of it, and then you can just destroy them with your 25 mils. And right now, you are way too close to that spawn point. The closer you get, and if you're spotted, the more damage you're going to take. And you can hear all of that. That's the base MAA tearing about 50 health off of them. If the player-driven anti-aircraft had been around, it would have been a simple 2 missiles and good night Dragonfire. And now we're just going hunting. Looks like Blue has managed to capture back at least enough points to get the burn. I don't think they're going to hold on to them, though, since they're flashing. Delta is very firmly in the hands of Red, so that's going to be a lingering problem for Blue to make any progress on this map, especially if they can't hold on to 4 others, which is a difficult task, actually. Frankly, why it's so important to have Delta on this map is just how hard it is to cap those 4 different points on this map. And here we have a very over-aggressive tank. And it looks like Dragonfire is taking some damage from some unidentified source. Now he's at 50 health, he probably wants to find out either what that source of damage is or get out of the way. And he's continuing to take damage, it looks like from the gunner possibly. Oh, nope, there it is. It's a very, very aggressive MAA and it takes him out. Chalk one up for the aggressive AA driver. Maybe a bit too aggressive though. Looks like we noticed Bravo was in contention, so he must spawn here to take it. Doing a do-si-do with the gentleman right now. He comes up with a kill, but I think one of the things that might have helped him out there is if he had a laser as a secondary. It's a nice little perk that gives you a little bit of extra hip fire for when you really need it. And the red team's doing a really good job of constantly pushing Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. And for whatever reason, there are blue enemies up in the hills near red spawn. I really don't know what their game plan was, but they are being appropriately dispatched. Whenever I see players up in those big stretches of mountains, I think you must be new, and what are you doing? Yeah, and red is simply having their way with blue at this point. 300-point difference is pretty much good game. Unless some amazing squad joins on blue in the short time that we have left, I'm going to guess that this is going to be red's game. And a good catch there. I'm kind of curious as to what the blue players' idea was there. If he was just going to sort of sit and wait it out and hope nobody saw him, or if he was waiting for the right moment. Oh, that's sad. So something interesting about Jeeps, they'll absorb all the damage if you shoot at them from the front. Instead, shoot them from the side or get out of the way. Alright, let's take a look at what's going on with the tabletop. Looks like the south is where blue is continuing to push. And if you remember back to my Golmud video, I sort of talked about how south and Foxtrot in particular is a spoiler point on this map. And you can see how it's affecting blue's ability to even get in this game. It looks like Dragonfire is taking the disguise again. He's getting a little bit too close there. Oh my god. And yet another senseless death. But like a phoenix from the ashes, Dragonfire is back. Very aggressive AA driver on the blue team. See if he can do something for his team. I wonder if he has proximity scan. If he does not, he's going to be sad. Dragonfire is making his way around now and is probably going to come up with this kill. Always be exceptionally wary if you're armor near cover. that's the end of that MAA driver. So I love driving the MAA as a very aggressive player, but you have to be equipped appropriately for it. If you don't have that proximity scan and you're not watching your minimap, you're going to get exploded just like that MAA driver. But a good job here on Dragonfyre, seeing that this point was a contention and coming and spawning to protect it. Of course, when you spawn on a point, you always want to be keeping an eye on your minimap because the enemies could be nearby anyway. It's important to be cautious when you're taking a point in contention. And as you can see from that right there, you don't want to run out in the open. Looks like Dragonfyre has respawned at that point, look for some quick vengeance. And it looks like he's found some on the minimap. Look at that minimap, good job on him. The minimap will tell you pretty much anything you ever want to know in this game, and it's actually kind of surprising how few players actually use it. No need to tap fire on that, being that close. Oh my. Coming back in for some payback. Looks like there's a little squad there just spawning in on that sniper and coming down into Charlie. Hey, camping snipers are good for something after all. Looks like Blue is finally making a play for the north. Currently... Yeah, 400 point difference, it's pretty much game over at this point. Oh, I hate... I hate the fences on this map. It's hit or miss whether you can actually jump over them. Good tap fire. Maybe a little bit too out in the open though. Dragonfyre does a good job of giving up on that kill once you started taking damage. Unless your target is the one shooting at you, don't chase the kill. Kind of questionable running over an open field with low health, and yeah, probably wasn't a good idea to cross a big open plain when you were low on health and you knew that an enemy knew about you, or the enemy team knew about you. Back in the scout helicopter, getting some practice in with it, it looks like. If we learn anything from our last fiasco in the scout helicopter, it's going to be that trying to shoot enemies at point blank range is probably not a good recipe for your helicopter to live a long time. We found our first catch. It's really not that hard to get infantry kills with the 25mm, which is why I like running with them so often. All you have to do is lead your target if you're shooting at from long range, and just line it up if you're not. The AoE damage takes care of everything else. Maybe a little bit too much drop on that one. Looks like we got some missiles coming in. Yeah, whenever you sort of pass the line of scrimmage on this map, which I like to call F, you want to be careful about the air defenses. There are so many different things that can shoot at you. There's the helicopters, which are right there. There's the MAA, there's the base AA, there's the tanks, there's the gunners, etc. Do you shoot out the pilot? Wow, that's lucky. Again, against other aircraft, the 25mm are not that effective, but if you get lucky like that, it's, you know, in your favor. But generally, I like running with the minigun simply because they sustain damage to take down aircraft quite a bit faster than the 25mm. If you choose the 25mm, you're choosing to be an anti-infantry machine, and you look for situations just like this. Scout helicopter with 25mm is particularly effective on maps like Flood Zone, where you can get behind cover and find all kinds of infantry. Oh my. Oh ho ho, you are playing with fire here, yep. You saw that engineer and you didn't care anyways. So I hope we learned there why flying low is often dangerous. Oh, it's time for a feast. A feast! And you only got 1 of 3. No matter, you can loop back around and get the rest of them. So, if you know there's an engineer that is actively trying to shoot at you with rockets, playing low and slow is not a really good idea. You want to try and make that shot as hard as possible for them, and he narrowly misses there. There's another one. Every time you hear that swoosh, you know that there's somebody targeting you. I usually try to make that engineer that's doing that my priority target. And the smarter you can do that, the better. Don't give him an easy shot, try to keep moving quickly, try to stay at altitude. The really important part is to not give them the easy small shot or RPG shot on you. So the better you get at your guns, and the better you get at flying at altitude and shooting them, the better chances you have of staying alive. And of course, 25mm shaking their screen doesn't hurt either. And as you can see, this is a total blowout. Not an uncommon situation on this map if you can't manage to constantly harass A and B. That's just not paying attention. Oh my god. I'm definitely seeing here a recurring theme with Dragonfyre and running into trees. But on the plus side, he's always been a very good player about catching what points are in contention and spawning there to defend it. And I think that enemy was actually capturing Delta from one of the worst spots you could possibly do it. If you go on top of the train, the nice part is that you can sort of duck behind the train on either side if somebody spotted you and try to get the cap in. At the very least, you can buy time and hope that your squad spawns on you. This game is over. So that's it for this round of Conquest Golmud, and it was an okay game played by Dragonfyre. I think that if he had played a little bit more cautiously with the tank earlier on, or had been more aware of his surroundings while flying, he'd have gotten a much more impressive tally at the end. As it was, he did a great job of defending points when they were in contention and supporting his team with the scout helicopter. Probably a bit too aggressive with pushing the scout helicopter into enemy territory, and definitely over aggressive and tunnel visioned when chasing kills. If anything, Dragonfire, work on being a bit more careful and cautious while playing. But that's it for this episode of Over Your Shoulder. If you liked what you saw, please give my video a like. If you'd like to see more Battlefield 4 videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to be featured on a future episode of Over Your Shoulder, message me your battle log information and maybe I'll follow you one day. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.